So, income tax 1B is all about corporate income taxation. So, yung income tax 1B, continuation lang siya ng income tax 1A nyo. So, income tax 1A, it is all about individuals' income tax. So, paano ba tinataksan or paano ba kinukuha yung income tax ng isang individual? So, pagdating sa income tax 1B, magpo-focus naman tayo sa corporation. So, paano naman tinataksan yung isang corporation? Yung mga classification no corporation. So, anong mga corporation ba yung mga exempt and anong corporation din ba yung may special rates? So, lahat yon malalaman natin sa mga discussions natin. So, to start, let's have a quick introduction about corporation. So, what is corporation ba? So, I know, sobrang pamilyar na kayo sa word na corporation. Kasi di ba, nag-take na kayo ng law on partnerships and corporation. So, dinefine doon si corporation. So, based sa ating corporation code or Republic Act number 11232, section 2, they define corporation as an artificial being created by operation of law having the right of succession and the powers, attributes, and properties expressly authorized by law or incidental to its existence. So, umiyan natin yung definition ng corporation. So, sabi, a corporation is an artificial being created by operation of law. So, what does it mean? So, it means that si corporation, meron siyang separate personality distinct from its shareholders. So, itong personality na to, it is granted or created by our law, which is yung corporation code na. So, dahil may sariling personality, si corporation, meaning meron siyang kakayahan or pwede siya makipag-transact or makapag-kontrata using its own name. So, kunwari, bibili tayo ng property. So, si corporation, pwede siya makapag-kontrata, bumili ng property using its own name. So, pumili yung sales agreement, instead name ng mga shareholders na nakalagay, name ni corporation. So, dahil siya isang artificial being, may siyang separate personality, ibig sabihin, similar siya sa mga natural persons o yung mga shareholders. So kung ano yung nagagawa ng mga shareholders, pwede rin gawin ni corporation. So dahil doon, dahil kung ano yung nagagawa ng isang shareholders is nagagawa din ng corporation, so kung natataksan yung mga shareholders or yung mga individuals, then matataksan din si corporation. So having the right of succession, so it means na kahit mawala, mamatay, or umalis yung isang shareholders, still, papatuloy pa rin yung operations ng corporation. So meron siyang right of succession. So pwedeng yung pinaka-original na shareholders na nagtayo ng corporation, mamatay na, mawala na, still, magpapatuloy pa rin yung operations ng corporation. So, pwede nilang ipasa yung right nila dun sa mga susunod pa. So, ganun yung having the right of succession, which is different dun sa partnership. Kasi di ba pag sa partnership, namatay lang isang member, namatay lang isang partner. Di ba minsan nadi-dissolve na yung partnership. And last, the powers, attributes, and properties expressly authorized by law or incidental to its existence. So yung powers o yung mga pwede lang gawin na isang corporation is nakalagay siya sa articles of incorporation. So yung articles of incorporation, parang dito nakalagay kung ano lang yung mga transaction o yung mga pwedeng gawin ng isang corporation. Kapag may ginawa siya na wala sa articles of incorporation, it will be considered as illegal. So, kunwari, example, yung corporation, nagtayo tayo, nakalagay sa articles of incorporation, nakalagay doon yung powers niya, or pwede siyang makipagkontrata para bumili at magbenta ng libro. Kaya lang, ang nangyari, bigla siyang si corporation bilang nag-provide ng service. Yung service na yon na pinrovide niya is di nakalagay sa articles of incorporation. Ibig sabihin, yung pagpaprovide niya ng service is considered as illegal kasi wala siyang power. Hindi siya binibigyan ng power or hindi siya ino-authorize ng law na gawin yun. So, ganun yung concept ng corporation under our corporation code. So, pwede naman sa income tax purposes, yung ating batas for the income tax or for the tax, which is yung tax code or yung NIRC or National Internal Revenue Code, binigyan din niya ng definition yung isang corporation. So, under Section 22B ng ating NIRC, the term corporation should include partnerships no matter how created or organized. So, ano sabihin ng no matter how created or organized? Ibig sabihin kung paano siya kinrate. Either kinrate siya orally or written para magawa yung contract na magbabind sa partnership. Wala tayong pakialam. Still, it will be considered or it will be termed as corporation under our code. So, aside from partnerships, the corporation daw, it should include joint stock companies, joint accounts, or yung kwentas and participation, association, or insurance companies. But does not include general professional partnerships in a joint venture or consortium formed for the purpose of undertaking construction projects or engaging in petroleum, coal, geothermal, and other energy operations pursuant to an operating consortium agreement under a service contract with the government. So, define natin yung mga in-include daw as corporation. So, first is a partnership. So, partnership, it is one created when two or more persons contribute money, property, or industry to a common fund with the intention of dividing the profit among themselves. So, meron ba siyang similar characteristics sa ating corporation? Yes. Kasi first, may two or more persons nag-contribute ng money, property or industry. So, parang nag-invest, gano'n, in short. So, di ba similar siya sa corporation? So, meron tayo mga shareholders na nag-invest sila ng kanilang capital. So, para sila invest by acquiring stocks. So, di ba? Still, nag-invest sila ng pera nila sa corporation. And sabi, partnership to a common fund with the intention of dividing the profit among themselves. So, ganoon din ba yung corporation? Yes. Di ba? Yung profit ng corporation, i-distribute siya sa partners by means of dividends. So, di ba kaya nagde-declare ng dividends yung corporation? Kasi nagdi-distribute sila ng either cash or property dun sa property dun sa shareholders. So, nakita nila, similar lang naman yung parang characteristic ng isang partnership sa ng corporation. So, dahil similar yung characteristics nila, then, sa mata ng batas or sa under our tax code, they consider partnership as a corporation. And dahil consider siya as corporation, it will be taxable as corporation. So kung ano yung income tax or paano ba yung income tax or paano kino-compute yung income tax ng corporation, it will be applicable also to partnerships. So next na binanggit is yung joint stock companies. So ano ba yung joint stock companies? So joint stock companies, it is constituted when a group of individuals acting jointly establish and operate a business enterprise under an artificial name with an invested capital divided into transferable shares, an elected board of directors, and other corporate characteristics, but operating without formal governmental authority. So, sige, isa-isa natin yung definition. So, sabi, it is established and, wait lang. Una is constituted when a group of individuals acting jointly establish and operate a business enterprise. So parang similar ba siya sa corporation? Yes. Kasi 'di ba, may two or more persons na nag-contribute para ma-establish or two or more persons na nag-establish ng corporation. Diba? So, when ang invested capital divided into transferable shares. So, diba? Same sa corporation, yung two or more na shareholders, nag-acquire sila ng shares. So, invest sila ng capital to acquire shares, and once na yung shareholders naka-acquire ng shares, meron silang ownership din sa corporation. Tapos, sabi yung joint stock companies daw, meron siyang elected board of directors. So, di ba si corporation, meron din siyang board of directors. So, di ba nga, board of directors sa isang corporation and other corporate characteristics. So, ano yung difference ng joint stock company sa corporation? So, joint stock companies daw kasi, it is operating without formal governmental authority. Eh, di ba si corporation, it is created by law. And yung powers, attributes niya, and properties is expressly authorized din ng law. Kaya nga meron tayong ginagawang articles of incorporation. So, kapag walang articles of incorporation, hindi may establish yung corporation. So, dahil yung joint stock companies, nakita nila na similar lang din naman yung characteristic ng isang joint stock company. So, actually, parang, ito lang sinabi other corporate characteristics. So, meron siyang similarities. So, yung characteristics ng isang corporation, makikita mo rin sa joint stock companies. That's why, our NIRC, tingin nila na similar lang si joint stock company sa similar si joint stock companies sa corporation. So dahil similar sila, it will be considered as corporation na rin under income tax purposes. So dahil doon, it will be taxable as corporation. So punta tayo sa joint account, yung discussion. So, sabi, constituted when one interests himself in the business of another by contributing capital thereto and sharing in the profits or losses in the proportion agreed upon. So, they are not subject to any formality and may be privately contracted orally or in writing. So, based on the definition itself, di ba? Medyo similar siya sa partnership. So, sabi, one interests himself in the business of another by contributing capital thereto. So, di ba si partnership, may two or more persons na pwedeng sumali or pwede sumama para mag-form ng partnership. So, they will contribute either money, capital, or industry. And they intend to share the profits among themselves. So, dito sabi sa joint accounts, they will share the profits or losses in the proportion agreed upon. So, di ba, almost similar siya sa partnership. Ang difference lang nila, si joint accounts, they're not subject to any formality and may be privately contracted orally or in writing. So, wala siyang kailangang ipasa sa government natin para lang maging para maging authorized, magawin yung pwede niyang gawin. So, wala siyang any formality, unlike yung partnership, meron. So, dahil similar lang si joint account sa partnership, and si partnership is similar sa corporations. So, si joint accounts, it is considered or it is also included as corporation under our tax code. And tingin nila, dahil similar lang si corporation sa joint account, it will be taxable also as corporation. So next is yung association. So associations, it includes all organizations which have substantially salient features of a corporation to be taxable. So note natin, yung mga organizations, merong substantially or parang substantial yung characteristic ng corporation na meron yung isang association. It will be taxable as corporation. So, dagdag ko lang dito yung joint venture. So, joint venture, a commercial undertaking by two or more persons, differing from a partnership in that it relates to the disposition of a single lot or goods or the completion of a single project. So actually, yung joint venture, similar siya sa partnership. So ang difference lang naman nila is, si partnership kasi, hindi siya nakadepende sa mismong operations. So, pag kunyari, tapos na yung operations, yung purpose ng operations, ba siya binuo, then dissolve na yung partnership, hindi siya ganon. So, nakadepende siya minsan sa partners. So, kung may mamatay na partner, then madi-dissolve na yung partnership. Kasi joint venture, kaya siya binuo kasi nga may siyang purpose na dapat gawin. And kapag na-complete na or nagawa na yung purpose na yun, then madi-dissolve na yung joint venture. So, for example nga, kunyari may dalawang dormer na contractor, tapos nagsama sila, bumuo sila ng joint venture para gawin, kunyari, yung isang mahabang tulay. So, doon magkakontribute sila ng resources para mabuo yung tulay na yun. And once ma-complete na and nagawa nila yung tulay, then buwag na yung joint venture. So, dahil similar to joint venture, a partnership, it will be also treated as corporation. So, joint venture in general is considered as, joint venture will be taxable as corporation. So, ano yung mga hindi included daw sa term na corporation under NIRC? So, dalawa siya. So, one is in general professional partnership, and second is joint venture or consortium form for the purpose of undertaking construction projects or engaging in petroleum, coal, geothermal, and other energy operations pursuant to an operating or consortium agreement under service contract with the government. So, ano ba yung GPP? So, yung GPP, in GPP, it is defined as partnerships formed by persons for the sole purpose of exercising their common profession. So, actually, parang dalawa yung characteristics niya. So, actually, yung first is yung composed of professionals. Second, the purpose of that partnership is to exercise their common profession. So, kunwari, ABC, they are all CPAs, and then they decided na bumuo ng partnership to provide accounting services sa mga tao. So, si ABC and company, ABC company, ano siya, ginawa nga siya para mag-provide ng accounting services, audit, tax services, and advisory, management advice services, mga ganun. So, kunwari, nagbenta sila ng libro. So, pag ganun ba, considered pa rin siya as GPP? So, pwede consider pa siya as GPP kung taga nagpaprovide sila ng service. Pero yung income nila, na nakuha nila or na-earn nila sa pagbebenta ng libro will be taxable. Kasi nga, ang sabi lang naman, yung exempt sa GPP is yung kailangan na-earn nila, yung income na na-earn nila from exercising their common profession. Kasi yun naman talaga concept ng GPP. Kasi sa batas, tingin nila yung GPP, hindi siya binuo for profit. Binuo siya just to serve yung profession nila or makapagbigay lang sila ng services based dun sa profession nga nila. So, tingin ng batas natin, hindi naman engage in trade or business yung GPP. So, if kumikita sila by providing or by exercising their common profession, and then, ano na siya, parang incidental na lang, bonus na lang. Pero, in essence talaga, tingin nila, hindi talaga tinayo for business yung GPP. That's why exempt siya. Pwede siya in-include dun sa term na corporation under our NIRC. And since hindi siya included dun sa corporation under NIRC, exempt na siya. So, hindi siya subject sa corporate income tax. Tapos, next is yung joint venture or consortium form. So, paano ba magiging exempt yung joint venture or consortium form? consortium rather. So, dito, di ba, sa ating NIRC, Session 22B, nagbigay siya ng dalawang characteristic ng joint venture or consortium para maging exempt siya. So, first is for the purpose of undertaking construction projects. Second is engaging in petroleum, coal, geothermal, and other energy operations pursuant to an operating or consortium agreement under service contract with the government. So, sa NRC ito. Pero, based sa ating revenue regulations, 10 to 12, nagbigay pa siya. So, actually, para meron pa siya ibang characteristics bukod dito. Para masabi na exempt yung joint venture or consortium. So, wait lang. Punta tayo dito. So, based sa Section 3 ng Revenue Regulations 10 to 12, sinabi, a joint venture or consortium formed for the purpose of undertaking construction projects not considered as corporation under Section 22 of the NIRC, like I said kanina. But it should be for the undertaking of construction project. So, sinabi yun sa NIRC natin. Second, it should be involved in or pooling of resources by licensed local contracts. That is, licensed as general contractor by the Philippine Contractors Accreditation Board or the Department of Trade and Industry or DTI. Aside from that, kailangan daw, these local contractors are engaged in construction business. So, yung mga construction, hindi ba talaga sa English sa construction business, nagsama-sama lang. So, parang hindi pa rin siya magiging taxable as corporation. And last is in joint venture itself must likewise be duly licensed as such by the Philippine Contractors Accreditation Board or PCAB at the Department of Trade and Industry. And ma'am, what if po foreign contractors? Taxable din po ba siya? So actually, same revenue regulation, in-address din yung foreign contractors. So sabi, joint ventures involving foreign contractors may also be treated as a non-taxable corporation only if the member foreign contractor is covered by a special license as contractor by the Philippine Contractors Accreditation Board or PCAB of the Department of Trade and Industry. And kailangan yung construction project, it is certified by the appropriate tendering agency or government office that the project is a foreign, finance, or internationally funded project. And that international bidding is allowed under the bilateral agreement entered into by and between the Philippine government and the foreign or international financing institution. Pursuant to the implementing rules and regulations of Republic Act number 4566 or otherwise known as Contractors License Law. So sabi nga, absent any one of the aforesaid requirements, the joint venture or consortium formed for the purpose of undertaking construction projects should be considered as taxable corporation. So kailangan kompleto yun. Parang ito nga yung mga requisites. So, may isa lang dyan mawala, then si joint venture or consortium, di na siya applicable to be exempt. Taxable na siya as corporation. So, in addition, the tax-exempt joint venture or consortium, in define shall not include those are mere suppliers of goods, services, or capital to a construction project. So, next, sabi daw, the member to a joint venture na taxable as corporation shall each be responsible in reporting and paying appropriate income taxes on their respective share to the joint venture's profit. Mamaya, explain ko yan. So, again, ito yung mga requisites ng isang joint venture para maging exempt siya sa income tax. So, balik tayo. Diba sinabi sa EDNA? Wait. Lipat ko ulit yung screen. Okay. So, di ba sinabi sa Section 4, nung RR or Revenue Regulations and 12, sinabi doon na yung joint venturer, applicable pa rin siya sa private income taxes. Dapat nilang i-report yun. Kasi, always remember, di porket si GPP and etong si joint venture na form for the purpose of undertaking construction projects and engaging in petroleum, coal, or geothermal, and other energy operations, di porket exempt sila, totally exempt na sa lahat. So, hindi siya ganun. So, bakit? Kasi di ba, this partnership or joint venture, they still earn profit. And yung profit na na-earn nila, dinidivide yun sa, or dinidistribute yun dun sa mga partners or joint venturers. So, syempre, pag ganun, iba na yung treatment or yung tax treatment sa kanila. So, sige, let's have a glimpse sa income, paano ba tinataksan ng isang partnership tsaka ng isang joint venture. So, actually, may separate tayong discussion for this one. So, pero dito, ano lang, at least aware na tayo, magkaroon na tayong idea kung paano yung, paano sila tinataksan. So, punta na lang sa partnership. So, di ba, sabi, may tayong dalawang klase ng partnership. Yung general partnership o yung regular na partnership. And next is yung general professional partnership. So, sa point of view ng partnership, pag general co-partnership, it will be subject to RCIT as indicated sa Section 22B ng NIRC. Kasi di ba nga, yung term daw na corporation, it includes partnership, no matter how it is organized or formed. So sabi siya sa RCIT. And yung RCIT natin, it will be subjected to 30% before ma-implement or before maging effective yung trade law. Pero nung naging effective yung trade law, it will be subject to 25%. 20% kapag pumasa dun sa income and asset test. Tapos, si GPP, point of view ng partnership, di ba exempt? Kasi nga, sabi nga sa Section 22B ng NIRC, the term corporation, it does not include general professional partnership. That's why exempt. So, itong first row, parang ito yung nakalagay sa Section 22B natin. Ano yung point of view ng partners? So, sa general co-partnership, di ba? Kasi nga partnership sabi nga, si partnership, binuo siya ng 2 or more persons who promise to contribute money, property, or industry with the intention to divide the profits among themselves. So, yung profits ng partnership, i-distribute sa mga partners. So, matataksan ba yun? Yes, matataksan pa rin. Pero, subject ba sa RLT? No. Such a subject sa FIT or final income tax. Kasi, yung concept ng pag-distribute ng net profit, para siyang similar dun sa pag-declare or pagbibigay ng dividends ng corporation sa kanilang shareholders. Di ba? Remember, sa income tax man inyo, yung cash or properties na receive from the dividends given by the corporation, it is considered as passive income. And passive income, they will be subject to final income tax. So, ganun din yung concept pag general co-partnership. So, yung net income na dinidistribute natin sa partner, parang treated siya as if siya ay dividends. And dahil naka-receive ng parang dividends si partner, it will be considered as passive income. And passive income will be subject to final income tax. So, pag yung partners, di ba sabi daw, siya ay resident or non-resident citizen, it will be subjected to 10% final tax. Pag siya ay non-resident alien engaged in trade or business, it will be subject to final 20% of final tax. And last, kapag siya ay non-resident alien not engaged in trade or business, 25% yung final tax na ibibigay sa kanya. Punta naman tayo sa general corporational partnership. So, di ba, exempt nga yung GPP. So, yung bang pati partners niya, kung nag-distribute ng net profit, will be exempt? No. It will be subject to regular income tax. Kasi ganito siya. Di ba, binuod GPP. Tapos, yung profit na nakukuha ng GPP, parang ano siya, nagpa-pass through lang dun sa GPP. Kasi yung profit talaga, hindi naman talaga siya para sa GPP. Or hindi siya sa general professional partnership per se. So yung profit na kinikita na doon, parang ano talaga, diretso siya sa partners. Kasi para talaga sa partners yung profit na kinikita ng GPP. So dahil doon, yung mga nataksan, isa si partners. So sila yung subject sa regular income tax. And paano yung computation ng regular income tax sa individuals? By using the tax table. So, di ba nung train law, pag 250, yung taxable income mo, exempt. Pero kapag more than 250, then taxable na siya. Tapos, I like to add, di ba, nung dinidiscuss sa income tax 1A nyo, di ba sinabi, meron tayong options pagdating sa regular income tax. So, meron tayong tinatawag na yung 8%. So, di ba si individual, pwede siyang mamili. Pwede siyang taxan based sa Section 24A or pwede siyang mag-opted nung 8%. So, pagdating dito, sa general professional partnership, yung mga partners under GPP, hindi sila applicable dun sa 8%. So, hindi sila mamimili kung isa-subject ba nila yung kanilang, yung nakuha nilang profit sa RIT based doon sa Section 24 or gagawin nilang 8%. So, pag gano'n, wala silang choice. At dramatic, yung kanilang yung pag-compute ng regular income tax nila is based doon sa Section 24A no NARC. So, again, remember that. Gano'n din naman yung concept ng joint venture. So, di ko na nabago yung name, pero yung dito sa part na to, yung general professional partnership, ano to dapat? Joint venture form for the purpose of undertaking construction projects or engaging in petroleum, coal, geothermal, other energy. So, ito naman yung mga other joint ventures that are not considered din sa sinabi ko dito kanina. So again, similar na yung concept ng joint venture o yung income for income tax purposes. Same lang yung joint venture. Same treatment ng joint venture at partnership. So for the others, other joint venture, it will be subject to RCIT based sa point of view ng joint venture. So ano yung tax rate para makuha yung RCIT with this will be same. These are the same rates na gagamitin natin pag tinaksan natin yung joint venture. Pero kapag yung joint venture, they are formed for the purpose of undertaking construction project, or engaging in coal, petroleum, geothermal, etc. Then it will be exempt. Kasi nga, nakalagay yun sa patas. And nasusunod yung patas natin. So, pwede sa joint venture, pagdating sa other joint ventures, yung share in profit na makukuha ng joint venture, it will be considered as passive income. So they will be treated or will be subject to final income tax. So pag si joint venture, individual, so doon applicable yung 10, 20, 25%. So 10% for resident citizen and non-resident citizen. 20% for NRA, ETB, or non-resident alien engaged in trade or business, and 25% for NRA and ETB, or non-resident alien not engaged in trade or business. So, kapag naman si joint venture corporation, Based siya sa, wait lang, sorry. So, based siya sa final tax sa corporation. So, sa mga susunod discussion, alamin natin paano ba yung final income tax pagdating sa corporation. So, to have a glimpse, pag domestic corporation, exempt, pag RFC, exempt, and pag non-resident foreign corporation, before create, 30% yung final tax, pero after create, 25%. Depende na lang if merong tax sparing rule. So, magbabago yung percent na gagamitin natin. So, yung joint venturer naman, under GPP, yung kanilang profit na marireceive nila or na pag-share ng bawat joint venturer, it will be subject to regular income tax. So again, there will be separate discussion for this one. So sabi ko lang, para at least magkaroon agad kayo ng idea na hindi porket si GPP, tapos si joint venture, for the purpose of undertaking construction projects, exempt sa batas natin is totally exempt na sila. So, hindi siya ganun. Exempt lang siya if point of view is yung partnership or yung joint venture itself. Pero pagdating sa mga partners or joint venturer, yung share nila sa net profit, it will be subject to income tax. So, magkano tayo sa classification ng corporate income taxpayers. So, di ba, si individual taxpayers, meron siyang 4 na classification. So, si resident citizen, the non-resident citizen, non-resident alien, engaged in trade or business, and last is yung non-resident alien not engaged in trade or business. So, si corporate income taxpayers naman, meron siyang 3 classification. So first is yung tinatawag nating domestic corporations. So domestic corporation, this refers to a company that is incorporated in and conducts business affairs in its own country. So ibig sabihin, nag-originate siya and incorporated siya dito taga sa Pilipinas. So example ng mga corporation, San Miguel. So, diba? Alam ko they are incorporated talaga on our country. So, if I'm not mistaken. So, they're considered as domestic corporation. So, si domestic corporation, yung kanyang tax treatment, hati sa 3. So, meron tayong exempt domestic corporations, meron tayong special domestic corporations, and regular domestic corporations. So, exempt domestic corporations, then ito yung mga domestic corporations that are not subject or not taxable. Kaya nga exempt. So, wala silang binabayaran na income tax. Next is yung special domestic corporation. So, pag sabi ng special domestic corporation, these corporations, meron silang special rates na ginagamit. So, hindi sila, kasi yung regular domestic corporations, yung meron silang fixed rate na ginagamit, which is yung 30% before train law, 25% or 20% after train law. Pagdating sa special domestic corporations, iba yung tax rates na ginagamit nila. So, depende siya sa kung anong klaseng corporation siya. So, example nga nito is yung proprietary educational institutions and non-profit hospitals. So, may certain tax rate. Next is yung foreign currency deposit units or FCDU and expanded FCDUs. And last is yung PEZA or BOI registered enterprises. So there will be separate discussion for this one. So exempt, maya pag-aaral natin yung mga exempt domestic corporations. Sorry, excuse me. So next, isang classification is yung tinatawag nating resident foreign corporations. So, resident foreign corporations, this is one These are the corporations which establishes its physical presence in the Philippines. So ito yung mga foreign corporations na may silang tinayong building sa Pilipinas. So parang kanya may silang sariling branch, mga ganon. May silang sariling office or sales office. So they are considered as resident foreign corporations. So ito mga foreign corporations na to, so they are incorporated abroad or outside the Philippines. Pero meron silang sariling office dito sa Pilipinas. That's why they are called resident foreign corporations. So under resident foreign corporations, dalawa lang yung tax treatment. So either they are special resident foreign corporations or they are regular resident foreign corporations. So under special resident foreign corporations, ito yung mga expanded FCDUs, regional area headquarters and regional operating headquarters of multinational companies, international carrier, and again, BOI or PEZA registered enterprise. So again, same as to domestic corporations, pag sinabi natin special resident foreign corporations, may silang sariling tax rate. So hindi siya yung regular tax rate ng isang regular resident foreign corporations. And last na classification is yung non-resident foreign corporations. So non-resident foreign corporations, these are the corporations which does not have any presence in the Philippines but derives income in the Philippines, such as extending foreign loans, earning interest income, investing in shares of stocks of domestic corporations, and dividends, or leasing out assets in the country for a fee. So these are corporations na di na sila incorporated dito sa Pilipinas, di sa binuo dito sa Pilipinas. Wala pa silang sariling office or branch dito sa Pilipinas. Pero still, nakaka-earn sila ng income dito sa Pilipinas. That's why they're still taxable. So, makikita nyo kung paano tinataksan yung non-resident foreign corporations. So, parang ito yung counterpart ni non-resident alien not engaged in trade or business ng individual taxpayers. So, same as to resident foreign corporations, dalawa lang yung tax treatment natin. So, they may be special non-resident foreign corporations or they may be regular non-resident foreign corporations. So, again, when we said special non-resident foreign corporations, they have special rates. So, they are using special rates. They're not the regular rates fixed. Di sila yung fixed na regular rates na ginagamit. So, under special non-resident foreign corporations, these are non-resident cinematographic film owner, lessor, or distributor. So, meron siyang sariling tax rate na ginagamit. So, seen as to non-resident lessor of vessels chartered by Philippine National, there is a separate tax rate using for this one. And lastly is non-resident owner or lessor of aircraft, machineries, and other equipment. So again, this type of corporations, they are using separate tax rates. That's why they are called special non-resident foreign corporations. So for regular non-resident foreign corporations, ito yung tax rate na sinusunod nila. Again, we will also have a separate discussion for this one. So it will, the discussion for this one will focus on RCIT. So paano ba kino-compute yung RCIT? So again, nilagay ko lang dito to have a quick background or quick glimpse lang regarding sa RCIT. So again, for domestic corporation, yung ating regular corporate tax is 25% inward taxable income. But if the domestic corporation pass the asset or test, then they will be subject to 20% of their world taxable income. Again, it is applicable lang effective on July 1, 2021. At 2020. Oh. Effective on July 1, 2020. Wait lang. I-confirm ko lang. Sige. So, before yung credit, so yung fixed yung regular income tax rate is 30%. So again, yun yung ginagamit natin before create law. Pero pagdating ng create law, ni-reduce siya into 25%. And 20% kapag pumasa sa asset and income test. So in short, kapag isa siyang microeconomic business enterprise, yung micro, small, medium enterprise, then it will be subjected to 20% of regular corporate income tax. So, paano naman pag resident foreign corporation? So, pag resident foreign corporation, 25% ng nung kanilang Philippine taxable income. And then, tayo sa non-resident foreign corporation. So, non-resident foreign corporation, we will use 25% regular corporate tax on Philippine taxable income. So, I think, before state law, ano siya, 30%. Kasi si NRFC, actually, kung ano yung tax rate nila sa FIT, same lang siya sa lahat. Kasi nga, di ba, wala naman siyang branch wala siyang office in Pilipinas. That's why, wini-withhold lang talaga yung tax ng, yung income tax for NRFC. So, if mapapansin nyo, kahit sa individual, yung NRA and ATB, kung magkano yung tax rate ng FIT, yun natin yung parang tax rate ng lahat ng income pertaining to NRA and ATB. So, gano'n din siya sa NRFC. Dati, before create, 30%. Pero dahil in-effect yung create law, 25% na. So, alam niyo naman, kaya ginawa yung create rather. Kaya ginawa yung create, kasi nga, para ma-accommodate sana yung mga corporations. And, para at least hindi ganun bigat yung tax nila, lalo na nung pandemic. Kasi diba, nung pandemic, parang totally huminto talaga lahat Lahat ng operations, sobrang nalugi sila kasi nga, walang lumalabas. So, hindi sila nakakapag-operate ng business kasi nga, wala naman taong pwedeng lumabas. So, kaya ginawa yung create law para at least hindi ganun kabigat yung di ganun kabigat yung tax na babayaran nila. So, next, masida tayo sa exempt domestic corporations. So, sabi, meron tayong 4 na exempt from regular corporate tax or regular corporate income tax. So, ano yung 4 na yon? So, first is yung mga exempt non-profit corporations under the NIRC o yung Section 30 sa ating NIRC. Second is yung mga government agencies and instrumentalities. And next is yung exempt government-owned and controlled corporations, and last is yung mga cooperatives. So, these four are exempt domestic corporations. So, punta tayo sa, before we proceed, i-highlight ko lang yung classification rule. So, classification rule, exemption applies only to income from related activities. So, income from unrelated activities is subject to regular income tax. So, kailangan related activities lang yung pinanggalingan ng income nila. So, kapag nanggaling na sa unrelated activities, then it will be recorded subject to regular income tax. So, remember, di ba sabi ko kanina sa GPP, kapag yung income nila from accounting services, yun yung exempt. Pero, yung income na may nila pag nagbenta sila ng libro, it will be subject to regular income tax. Kasi, yung pagbebenta nila ng libro, it is considered as unrelated activity. So, yun yung classification rule. So, yun yung general rule. So, merong exemption. So, ano yung exemption? So, yung exemption niya is yung non-profit educational institution. Kasi, yung non-profit educational institution, lahat ng revenues and assets nila ng isang non-stock, non-profit educational institution used actually, directly, and exclusively for educational purposes will be exempt from taxes and duties. So, yung income nila, kahit nanggaling siya sa unrelated operations ng institution or ng educational institution na yon, still exempt pa rin if ginamit siya for educational purposes. So, next discussion, let's provide some example relating to this, or at least then ating maintindihan. Again, classification rule, exempt lang na income is yung mga income from related activities. Pero pag yung income is nanggaling sa unrelated activities, then it will be subject to the regular income tax. Exemption niya is yung non-profit education institution. Why? Kasi it is indicated in our Constitution. Remember, Constitution is like the mother of all laws. So, walang pwedeng batas na pwedeng kumontra sa Constitution. That's why, since sabi nga sa Constitution, nado ng revenues and asset ng isang non-stock, non-profit educational institution na ginamit actually, directly, and exclusively for educational purposes shall be exempt from taxes and duties. So, kahit yung income is from unrelated activities, pero yung unrelated activities yun is ginamit for educational purposes, then it is still considered exempt. So, ano tayo sa exempt from exempt non-profit corporations under the NIRC. So, actually, this is 11. And 11 na to, indicated siya sa Section 30 ng ating NIRC. So, you can refer that sa tax code natin. So, hindi na siya pabasahin isa-isa. So, kapag tingnan niyo naman, yung 11 na yan, meron siyang similarities. So, meron siyang trait. May mga characteristic na similar sa bawat isa. So, ano yun? First, they are non-profit. Kasi nga, nakalagay sa title, di ba? Exempt non-profit corporations. So, non-profit sila. Kasi pag profit na sila, then subject na siya sa income tax. So, another thing, yung similarities lang lahat, yung 11 na to, is they are non-stock. So, again, hindi ko na mabasahin. Sorry. So, tayo sa reminders for the taxation of organizations and corporations under Section 30 of the NIRC. So, reminders natin. Before pala before pala dyan, diba ito, si Section 30 ng NIRC. So, actually, pag tinignan niyo yung Section 30 ng NIRC, may pa siya nakalagay sa baba. Wait lang, dito yun. Ito, tax code. So, di ba sabi, ito yun. See? Ito yung Section 30 and ito yung 11 na in-indicate na mga exempt from na exempt na non-profit corporations. So sabi, notwithstanding the provisions in the preceding paragraphs, the income of whatever kind and character of the foregoing organizations from any of their properties, real or personal, or from any of their activities conducted for profit, regardless of disposition made of such income, shall be subject to tax imposed under this code. So, ano siya? Similar siya dun sa classification rule. So, pag daw yung income nila, totally pala not classification rule. Pag daw yung income nila, the income of whatever kind of character from any of their properties, real or personal, from any of their activities conducted for profit, regardless of the disposition made of such income, will be subject to income tax. So, di ba sabi ko kanina, yung similarities ng mga nakalagay dito is they are all non-profit. So, pag yung activities nila is for profit na, then it will be subjected to regular income tax. So, balik tayo. Sa ating PowerPoint. So, actually, maipit kasi yung batas natin. Kasi, di ba, kapag nagdaan sila ng exemption, it is strictly considered against the taxpayer kung sino yung nag-request ng exemption. Kasi di ba, ang gusto lang ni BIR is ang gusto ng government natin is makakolekta sila ng taxes. And syempre, kapag nag-exempt, then wala sila makakolekta. Mas may maigpit sila sa pag-exempt ng mga corporations. So, usually, kailangan nilang i-prove na exempt talaga sila. So, for example, in this case, pwede nila ipakita na nakalagay siya sa batas. But again, hindi siya basta forget na nakalagay sa batas natin or nakalagay sa tax code na exempt sila is okay na yun. So mamaya, identify natin yung tax exemption ruling or certificate of tax exemption. So, di enough na sabihin lang nila sa BIR na nakalagay po sa tax code nyo, section 30 na exempt po yung corporation namin. So, kailangan mapag-provide sila ng certificate of tax exemption. So, yun yung ibibigay lang sa BIR as a proof na tax exempted sila. Tax exempted. So, if wala silang ganun, still, kailangan pa, parang kukolektahin pa rin sila ni BIR. So, ano tayo sa? I'm sorry. Characteristic ng reminders ng tax sa taxation ng organization and corporations under Section 30 of the NIRC. So again, sabi ko nga, income tax exemption is not absolute. So, hindi siya absolute. Parang hindi porket nakalagay sa batas sa Section 30 ng NIRC na yung corporation niya is tax exempt. Is tax exempt na talaga. And again, di ba nakalagay nga sa may yung last paragraph ng Section 30 na yung income lang na dinerive for ng corporation furtherance for the in furtherance of the purposes for which it was organized under Section 30 of the NIRC, yun ay exempt. So, kunwari, what example? Kunyari, itong non-stock, non-profit education institution. Tawag yan. Dito tayo sa labor, agricultural, or particular organization not organized principally for profit. So, pag itong organization na to, labor, agricultural, or horticultural organization, meron silang income na derived from kunwari, pagbebenta nga ng books. So, hindi na siya magiging exempt. Kasi nga, yung purpose niya na nakalagay sa, naka-indicate sa ating Section 30 of NIRC is, ano siya, labor, agriculture, or horticultural. So, dapat, yung income niya, manggagaling lang sa tatlo na to. Sa tatlong transaction na to. Either related sa labor, related sa agricultural, or related sa horticultural. So, if di related doon, yung income na na-earn nila, then it will be subject to income tax. So, yung mga So, next is yung next na reminder is there is still an obligation for the government. So, di forget tax exempt sila is nakalimutan na lang mag-withheld. So, remember, di ba? Kunwari, organization sila, charitable organization, tapos meron siyang mga employees. Still, yung charitable organization na yun, kailangan pa rin niyang mag-withhold. So, hindi niya pa yung sabihin na, kaya di po nag-withhold kasi po, kami, tax exempt. So, separate siya. So, hindi siya cover nung Section 30 ng NIRC. Yung salaries ng mga employees. So, they are still subject to charitable withholding tax. So, dapat, nire-remit pa rin yun sa BIR. So, dapat i-withhold pa rin yun no? Charitable organization. So, sabi nga, in tax exemption, granted does not cover withholding taxes and compensation income of the employees of the corporation, or the withholding tax on income payments to persons subject to tax pursuant to Section 57 of the NIRC. So, dahil di naman siya cover ng tax exemption, still, they have the obligation to withhold the tax from their employee salaries. So, they still have the obligation as withholding agent. Next, and the last na reminder is liability for withholding added tax or percentage tax. So, ito yung isang minsan sa usually nakakalimutan ng ibang tao. So, kung iniisip nila, pag exempted sila sa income tax, exempt na rin sila sa business tax. So, hindi siya ganon. Okay? So, lalo mga minimum wage earners. So, di ba, alam natin, pag minimum wage earners ka, you're not subject to income tax. Kasi nga, minimum wage earner na eh. Pero, they're still subject to business tax. Because income tax is different to business tax. Or income tax is different to business tax. So, di forget, exempt ka sa income tax, exempt ka na rin sa business tax. So, hindi siya ganun. So, yes, exempt sila sa income tax, but they're still liable to pay their business taxes. So, that's why they still have liability for value-added tax or percentage tax. Yung mga purchase of goods nila or properties or services and importation of goods by a corporation organized and operated as a Section 30, corporation shall be subject to 12% VAT. And if yung corporation is engaged in the sale of goods or services in the course of business pursuit, including transactions incidental thereto, its revenues derived therefrom shall be subject to 12% VAT in case of gross receipt from such sales exceed 3 million or to the percentage tax Pero ano na siya, 1% or 3% based from state law if gross receipts do not exceed 3 million. So, actually, di ba, yung percentage tax, 3% siya. For under state law, 1% lang. Again, di porket exempt ka sa income tax, exempt ka sa business taxes. So, hindi siya ganon, okay? So, kahit exempt ka sa income taxes or di ka nagbabayad ng regular corporate income tax, kaya mo pa rin magbayad ng business taxes mo. So next is yung requisites for exemption of non-stock non-profit corporations. So again, first, it must be a non-stock corporation or association organized and operated exclusively for religious, charitable, scientific, athletic, or cultural purposes, or for the rehabilitation of the land. So, pag yung operations mo is hindi pertaining dito sa mga to, then they can be classified as exempt domestic corporations under section 30. So, kailangan yung operations mo, they're organized and operated based on these purposes. Second, it must meet the following test. So, dalawa yung test na gagawin natin. Organizational test and operational test. So, pag natin organizational test, this requires the corporation or association's constitutive document. Must show that its primary purpose or purposes of incorporation fall under section 30 of the NIRC. So, sa siya makita dun sa Articles of Incorporation. So, titignan doon kung ano yung primary purpose ng corporation. And kapag yung purpose is nag-fall under section 30 of the NIRC, then it can be considered as exempt domestic corporation. So, okay na ba yun? No. So, after natin ma-check, then okay na. Next natin gagawin is gagawin yung operational test. So, in operational test, this requires that the regular activities of the corporation or association be exclusively devoted to the accomplishment of the purposes specified in Section 3 of the NIRC. So, hindi enough na nakalagay lang sa Articles of Incorporation na yung primary purpose niya is for religious, charitable, scientific, athletic, or cultural purposes. So, kailangan titingnan nila kung yung operations ba talaga is pertaining to these purposes. Kaya vice versa, di pwedeng sinasabi nila, yung kasi yung operations ng corporation namin is related to charitable purposes. So dapat, and that is under Section 30 of NIRC. So, ibig sabihin, hindi na kami magbabayad ng tax kasi exempt na kami. Well, yun yung nakalagay sa Section 30 ng NIRC. So no. So di enough na nag-operate ka lang. Kailangan nakalagay talaga sa documents nyo na inorganize siya for that certain purpose. So, again, malagay yung dalawang test na yan. Kasi nga, di ba sabi, it must be organized and operated exclusively for these purposes. Next, all net income of or assets of the corporations or association must be devoted to its purposes and no part of its net income or asset accrues to or benefits any member or specific person. So, again, lahat ng net income nila is devoted siya dun sa purposes na binanggit natin. So, di pwedeng yung may part ng net income is ibibigay siya dun sa any member or specific person. Kasi, pag yung profit from those purposes is distribute siya among the partners. So, paano siyang partnership, di ba? The partnership is considered as corporation under tax code and they are taxable as corporation. So, last is it must not be a branch of a foreign non-stock non-profit corporation. So, kapag branch siya ng foreign non-stock non-profit corporation, kahit sabihin mong non-stock non-profit corporation siya, still hindi siya exempt under Section 30 ng NIRC. Next is yung Certificate of Tax Exemption Ruling. So sabi ko nga kanina, hindi absolute yung exemption ng yung Section 30. So di mo pwedeng isabihin na kaya di pa may naka-indicate naman po sa batas na exempt kami. So dapat okay na. So hindi ganon. So, dapat i-prove mo talaga na exempt ka. And para mo siya maipo-prove by providing BIR the certificate of tax exemption. So non-profit corporations or associations must secure a tax exemption ruling from the BIR to enjoy the tax exemption. That it should be test, test, not text. Test yan. Test. It should, hindi. Joke ulit. To enjoy the tax exemption. Hindi ko na ba't naging text yan? And yung certificate of tax exemption ruling, it is valid for 3 years unless soon revoked or cancelled. So this is based on RMO 30/2019. So kapag tinignan yung RMO, Revenue Memorandum Order 38/2019, 38/2019, naka-indicate doon yung Certificate of Tax Exemption. So, yung tax exemption natin, tax exemption ruling, it shall be revoked on the date there are material changes in the character, purpose, or method of operation of the corporation or association which are inconsistent with the basis of the income taxation. So, for example nga, tinay yung corporation for the purpose of for charitable purposes. So, ginawa nila dahil yun nga yung purpose kung ba siya inorganize. Tapos, after nun, gumawa sila ng tax exemption ruling sa BIR as a proof that sila tax exempt. Tapos, after some years, nakita nila na parang nagkakaroon na ng activities to earn profit yung corporation na yon. So, hindi na siya for charitable purposes. Kapag ganun, mare-revoke na yung tax exemption ruling nila kahit di pa nangyayari yung 3 years. Tapos, tax exemption ruling should be also revoked on the basis of non-renewal of the tax exemption ruling or non-revalidation of previously issued rulings. So, hindi siya automatic na mare-renew. So, yan, after 3 years, hindi mo na siya, di ka kumuha ng tax exemption ruling. So, hindi siya tax exempt. Mangyayari, masasubject siya sa tax. So, sa ginawa yun, kasi nga, syempre, again, pag nag-request ka ng tax exemption, ano na siya, unfavorable sa government. Kasi kumukonti yung makakolekta nila. Kaya ginawa nila, hindi siya automatic yung pag-renew. So, kailangan mo talagang i-renew siya personally. Ganun. So, failure to file an income tax results to a loss of tax exempt status. So, if you fail to file income tax, then mawawala na yung tax exempt status mo. Income tax results to a loss. So, again, I like to add, this is based on the RMO 38/2019. So, yung visa order, it does not include processing of certificate of tax exemptions of non-stock, non-profit educational institution under Section 30H of the NIRC. So, kapag isa kang non-stock, non-profit educational institution, hindi mo na kailangan kumuha ng certificate of tax exemption. So, Actually, this is covered under Revenue Memorandum Order number 44-2016. So, nakalagay doon na si non-stock, non-profit educational institution, hindi niya need yung certificate of tax exemption para lang ma-prove na tax exemption. Hindi niya need yun. Next is yung government agencies and instrumentalities. So, yung GOCC natin under Revenue Regulations 5-2021, implementing the provisions of the 8th law provides that, mali pa pala. So, sa government agencies and instrumentalities. Take two. Sorry for that. GOCC pala yan. So, in government agencies and instrumentalities, pag yung income nila pang related activities, they are exempt. Kasi generally, exempt naman talaga yung mga government agencies and instrumentalities. Pero kapag yung income nila is galing sa unrelated activities, they are taxable. Again, implementing the classification rule. So, exempt lang yung income from related activities. Once yung income na na-earn ng isang corporation is from unrelated activities, then it is considered as taxable. So, punta tayo sa GOCC. So, ito na. So, yung GOCC talaga under Revenue Regulation 5-2021, implementing the provisions of the 8th law, provides that yung mga GOCCs, agencies, and instrumentalities shall pay such rate of tax upon their taxable income as are imposed upon corporations or associations engaged in similar business, industry, or activity. General rule, GOCCs are taxable. They are subject to regular income tax. Ano yung exemption? So, meron tayong 5 GOCCs na exempt. So, first is yung Government Service Insurance System, or GSIS. Second is yung Social Security System, or SSS. And lastly is Philippine Health and Insurance Corporation, or PHIC. Next is yung Home Development and Mutual Fund, HDMF, yung pag-ibig. Ito yung pag-ibig, HDMF. And last is yung mga local water district. So, like to add, yung PCSO, naging taxable na siya. So, before train law, si PCSO is still included sa mga exempt na government-owned and controlled corporations. Pero nung na-amend yung ating NIRC and naging effective si train law, wala na sa list ng exempt GOCC PCSO. So, starting January 1, 2018, or effectivity ng train law, si PCSO is taxable na. Aside from that, yung number 4, HDMF, so actually, before train law, they are not exempt. So, actually, 4 lang talaga yung after effectivity ng train law and before effectivity ng create law. So, GSIS, SSS, PHIC, tsaka local water district lang yung exempt. Pero nung naging effective yung create law nung April 11, 2021, kasama na sa list ng exempt GOCC HDMF. So next, punta tayo sa cooperatives. So ito yung last na domestic, exempt domestic corporations. So ano ba yung cooperatives? So cooperatives, yung kanyang definition is This is an autonomous association of persons who voluntarily join together to achieve their social, economic, and cultural needs and aspirations by making equitable contributions to the capital required, patronizing their products and services, and accepting a fair share of risks and benefits to the benefits from the undertaking. So, si cooperatives, pwede din siyang classification para for taxation purposes. Ano yung classification ng cooperative? So, actually, dalawa siya. So, si cooperative which transacts business only with members, and cooperatives which transact business with both members and non-members. So, iba kasi yung tax treatment sa dalawang classification ng cooperatives ito. So, let's talk about cooperatives which transact business only with members. So, sabi, these corporations that are not subject to any taxes and fees under the NIRC and other tax laws such as income tax, unrelated income, VAT and percentage tax, donors tax, excise tax, momentary stamp tax, and last is yung annual registration fee. So again, kapag yung cooperative is nakikipag-transact lang siya sa mga members niya, exempt siya sa anim na to. Again, di ba, nakalagay income tax on related income lang. Pero pag unrelated income lang, it will be subject to tax. And what if si cooperative nakikipag-transact ng business, hindi lang sa members niya, kundi pati na rin sa mga non-members? So, paano yung magiging tax treatment niya? So, pag yung accumulated reserves and undivided net savings is not more than, mali yung sign ko, it should be not more than 10 million. So, kanyang treatment is exempt. Similar to cooperatives transacting business with members only. Pero pag yung kanyang accumulated reserves and undivided net savings is more than 10 million, then yung kanyang magiging treatment is taxable at full rate for the following taxes. So, taxable siya sa income tax on the full amount allocated for interest on capital. Subject na rin siya sa value-added tax on transactions with non-members. Okay, I want to highlight with non-members lang. So, pag members, still, di pa siya taxable. So, magiging taxable lang siya if yung accumulated reserves and undivided net savings is more than 10 million and napag-transact siya sa non-members. Next is masasabit na rin siya sa percentage tax on all sales of goods or services rendered to non-members. Again, pag-render siya to non-members. And last is yung all other internal revenue taxes unless otherwise provided by the law. So, nabanggit ko yung word na accumulated reserves and undivided net savings. So, ano ba yung accumulated reserves? So, accumulated reserves are commonly referred to as the reserve fund. So, this refers to the totality of the amount legally required to be deducted annually from the annual net surplus of the cooperative for its protection and stability. So under Republic Act 9520, the net surplus of every cooperative shall be distributed as follows. So yung reserve fund, kailangan at least 10% of the net surplus, but must not be less than 50% of the net surplus in the first 5 years of operation. Next is yung education and training fund. So dapat not more than 10% of net surplus. Next is yung community development fund, not less than ng 3% of net surplus. Next, kapag naman optional land and building fund, kailangan it will not exceed 7% rather of net surplus. Next is yung interest, which should not be exceed normal rate of return on investment and patronage refunds, which must not be less than 30% of the net surplus after deducting the statutory. And last is yung any excess to reserve fund. So, punta tayo sa taxability ng cooperatives to internal revenue system. So, lahat daw ng cooperatives, regardless of classification, they are subject to the following. So, again, subject sila sa applicable income tax on unrelated income. So sabi ko nga kanina, pag yung income nila is nanggaling sa unrelated activities, it will be subject to tax. So walang exception doon. Aside from that, there are also subject to capital gains tax. Kasi yung capital gains tax, depende siya sa property o yung capital asset. So kung may capital asset yung corporation, yung property, then it will be subject to capital gains. So next is yung documentary stamp tax. Fourth, VAT on purchases, goods or service except VAT except importations. So if yung importation is if yung importations VAT exempt importations, then it will be exempt. Pero kung hindi naman related doon, then yung VAT sa purchases of goods and services will be subject to business tax. Next, withholding tax on wages except for minimum wage employees. So yung sabi ko nga kanina, di ba reminder doon sa session 30, it's also applicable here. So di porket exempt ka, is exempt ka na sa lahat ng income taxes. So you still have the obligation to be withholding agent, no employees mo. So you're still required to emit their taxes. So last is yung all other taxes for which cooperatives are directly liable and not otherwise expressly exempted by any law. So ito yung mga taxes. Ito yung iba't ibang klaseng tax na natatax sa isang cooperative regardless ng classification nila. Either they are transacted with members only or they are transacted with both members and non-members. So ito, itong mga to is taxable talaga sa cooperative. Last is yung reporting requirements for exempt corporations. So actually, yung form talaga na ginagamit for exempt corporation is yung BIR form 702EX for exempt corporations with no taxable income. So again, di ba sabi nga nila, pag di nakapag-file ng di ka nakapag-file ng ITR mo indicating na may loss ka kasi nga wala kang tagang profit, marirevoke na yung tax exemption ruling. So, that's why it's important na makapag-file ka nung BIR, makapag-file ka dun sa BIR. And what if, ma'am, yung exempt corporations, meron taxable income na subject to regular tax. So, ano ba gagamitin namin? BIR form. So, gagamitin natin BIR form is yung 702-RT. Kasi nga, di ba? RT, regular tax. Eh, ma'am, pag yung exempt corporation with taxable income subject to special tax rate. So, ang gagamitin pa rin ba natin is yung BIR form 702-RT? No. Gagamitin na natin is BIR form 702-MX. So, actually, madali nyo siya mapansin sa name. EX, it can be, we can say na it is exempt. Parang shortcut lang nung exempt, EX, para lang madali matandaan. Next is yung RT. So, RT means regular tax. And kapag yung exempt corporation, nagkaroon ng taxable income subject to regular tax, ito yung gagawin nating BIR form. And last, kapag yung exempt corporation with taxable income is subject to special tax rates, gagawin natin is BIR form 702-MX. So, remember this type of BIR forms. Kasi I remember nung undergrad ako, so IR, natanong siya. So, syempre, inisip ko na lang EX. Ang tanong ata doon is kapag yung corporation mayroong taxable income subject to special tax rates, ano daw yung BIR form na gagamitin. Siyempre, hindi ko alam. Hindi ko alam yung mga BIR forms doon eh. Yung 702 na related pala yun sa corporation. So, wala talaga akong ka-idea. So, ginamit ko na lang, di ba, EX, baka exempt, baka for exempt yun. Tapos yung pag RT, minsan ko, regular tax. Baka, ito gagamit na BIR form pag yung corporations is meron siyang taxable income subject to RIT. So, minsan ko sa MX means mix. So, para ito yung naging paltandaan ko. Kasi kapag nanguhula ka, minsan lalagyan mo ng justification para lang, assurance sa sarili mo na tama yung sinasagot mo kahit nanguhula ka lang talaga. So that time, parang ganun ginawa ko. Na, baka EX means exempt, tapos kapag RT means regular tax, so it means na ito yung BIR form na gagamitin. And then dahil yung MX, di ko na lang kung paano justification gagawin ko, yun sinagot ko nun. Kasi nga, inis ko nga exempt, ito yung gagamit kapag yung corporation is exempt talaga, walang taxable income. Tapos kapag naman RT, ito yung ginagamit na BIR form kapag merong taxable income subject to regular tax. Eh, time na yun, natira lang isang MX. So, di ko alam yung meaning. So, inisip ko, yun na yung sagot ko. So, di ba? Tumama pa ako. So, minsan, din kasi, kapag nanguhula ka, kailangan mo lagi ng justification. So, minsan, baka makita mo dun yung reason kung bakit yun yung tamang sagot. So, magkakaroon tayo ng separate discussion regarding sa mga BIR forms. Papakita ko doon kung yung itsura ng BIR form 702, EX, RT, and X. So, that is our discussion for introduction to corporate income, exempt domestic corporation. So, sa next discussion, masasagot tayo ng problems relating to these topics. But at least, mas madaling maintindihan and mas madaling malaman kung paano ba mag-solve ng problems relating to this information or to these topics. And then after natin nun, ang next topic natin will be yung mga special, mga corporations na mayroong special